Here's your wrestling news for April 3rd, 2023. And we're starting off with WWE, and Night 2 of WrestleMania 39 featured the Women's Showcase Tag Team match, but the biggest issue with the bout is that there's not really many actual women's tag teams in WWE. Sure, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler have been working together as of late, but the pair haven't really gelled as a tag team yet. Despite this, the team was the most established of all four teams in the match, but this bout was definitely designed to just give a bunch of women not in storylines a WrestleMania spot. Fans couldn't help but notice that Rousey spent much of the match outside the ring before locking on the armbar on Shotzi for the tap out, and the decision for Ronda to keep out of the ring was due to her arm injury. Rousey and Baszler won the match by submission, the first submission of all of WrestleMania 39, but there's no telling what this win actually means going forward. It's expected that the winners will be in line for the women's tag team titles soon enough, but even those titles have struggled to seem relevant with how few actual women's teams there are. The match wasn't bad per se, but didn't match the level set by the men's match on Night 1. And what did you think of the match? Sound off in the comments. In her third Women's Championship match at WrestleMania in a row, Bianca Belair proved why she is the EST when she retained the Raw Women's Championship against Asuka. The Night 2 offering was one of the more intriguing bouts on the show, with Asuka hitting the Blue Mist only for Belair to try the seemingly never attempted strategy of ducking. The closing moments saw Asuka lock in the dreaded Asuka lock, only for Belair to deadlift her into the KOD, continuing her impressive reign as Raw Women's Champion. With the win, Belair has surpassed 365 days as champion and could soon surpass the 398-day run of Becky Lynch, the woman she dethroned at WrestleMania 38, to become the longest reigning holder of the gold in its 7-year history. But what of Asuka? After her return at the Royal Rumble and her wild change of character, many fans felt that this was the perfect time to give her another title run, and they aren't happy. On Twitter, fans lamented that Asuka, who was once undefeated in WWE, is now 0-5 at WrestleMania, and stated that she deserves much better. Asuka was brought back with a ton of potential, but she has once again come up short at WrestleMania. And do you think the Empress deserves better than what WWE are giving her? Now, WrestleMania Sunday opened up with Brock Lesnar vs. Omos, which, from the moment it was announced, didn't sit well with fans. After Brock Lesnar brutally attacked Bobby Lashley following their match at WWE Elimination Chamber, many felt that the next match in their saga should come at WrestleMania, but MVP instead issued a challenge to the Beast to face the Nigerian Giant. MVP accompanied Omos for the match, which on paper seemed like a mismatch considering that Lesnar is more used to facing some top-of-the-card talent at WrestleMania. The match was a rare instance of Lesnar being the smaller man, which made for some downright fantastic visuals as Lesnar got tossed around the ring by the Nigerian Giant. WWE have wisely chosen to show that Lesnar isn't impervious to pain in recent months, and Brock, to his credit, has gotten very good at selling offense. The audience got behind Lesnar as Omos dominated the early action, and the man once reviled for breaking the streak has become one of WWE's most popular superstars, as the LA crowd made clear. This match may have been much different than what we're used to seeing for the Beast, but all the old tropes were still there, including Lesnar utilizing some very impressive German suplexes. The match, like most Brock matches and certainly most Omos matches, was short, and after an F5, the Beast picked up another victory at WrestleMania. The question remains just how much does this win actually mean, and on social media, there were no shortage of fans who expressed their disappointment with the result. These fans expected Lesnar to put Omos over given that the latter is an up-and-comer, and one fan called it the worst match at WrestleMania 39. The win does nothing for Lesnar and makes Omos look weaker than a guy who's not around very often, and if WWE does want Omos to be their next big name, held on the same level as The Big Show or Andre, he needs to start actually winning matches and feuds. So why did Lesnar win? Well, it could be because WWE are planning his next feud, and it's one that fans have been wanting to see for some time. Fans will remember that at the Royal Rumble, Gunther and Lesnar teased a match before Brock's abrupt elimination from the Rumble match, and WWE could be prepared to pull the trigger. This would also explain why Gunther retained his Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and a feud with the Beast would do wonders for the prestige of the Workhorse title. The Ring General has been seemingly unstoppable since he arrived on the main roster, but has never had a challenger like Lesnar. And would you be interested in seeing this match later this year? If the plan is for Gunther versus Lesnar, then WWE will need to not delay, as the Beast Incarnate isn't sure how much longer he has left in the ring. Last month, it was reported that Lesnar was seen saying goodbye to people at a WWE taping, something he hasn't done before, and it fueled speculation that he may be leaving for good. Speaking to ESPN's Daniel Cormier, Lesnar broke his silence on these rumors and admitted that he's not sure what the future holds for him after WrestleMania 39. He said, "Every time that I think I want to be done, I get in the ring, I get to the building, and that's the part of the business that I really love. I left the business early because I just don't like the travel. I'm just a simple man, and it was just too much for me at the time. I don't know how long I'm going to be around. I don't know that." Lesnar was once the youngest WWE champion, but the Beast Incarnate is a true veteran of the ring now, and it remains to be seen how many matches the 44-year-old superstar has left in the ring. WrestleMania Sunday also saw the third Hell in a Cell match in the history of the show, with Edge and the Demon Finn Balor waging a war inside the structure. Given the blood feud between the two, weapons were expected, and while each one was given a red or purple color scheme, WWE thankfully opted to use the classic unpainted Hell in a Cell structure. The match got so violent that the bout had to be put on pause when Balor was busted open, which happened when Edge threw a ladder at his opponent and clocked Finn right in the face. After medical officials entered the structure to check on Finn, Balor was allowed to keep competing and even completed a coup de grace from the cell wall. Edge, who had taken a battering in his own right, was able to avoid taking the move and rolled out of the way in time for Balor to go through a table, and that was the momentum shifter that allowed Edge to get the win. A year after founding the Judgment Day, Edge's chapter with the group and Balor is seemingly over in a match worthy of WrestleMania. But what do you think the two sides should do next? Sound off in the comments. Now, WrestleMania isn't WrestleMania without a surprise return, and on night 2, fans saw Shane McMahon make his comeback to WWE. Just over a year after his father infamously said that Shane would never get another pop from the crowd due to his actions at the 2022 Royal Rumble, the prodigal son returned to action, though probably wishes he didn't. During his impromptu match with The Miz, Shane went down with an injury, and on the post-show press conference, Triple H confirmed that Shane has suffered a torn quad. Despite the injury, McMahon was okay enough that he didn't need to be carried out, but he walked out through the crowd as he was supported by others. This happened while Snoop Dogg, who had made the match official, filled in for Shane, and PW Insider reports that Shane O'Mac was supposed to get a win over The Miz. An impromptu decision was made in seconds for Snoop to replace Shane in the match, and we have to give a ton of respect to the Dogfather for not only keeping his cool when plans went wrong, but for being able to compete under pressure. While this is an unfortunate injury for Shane, some online found it funny that it happened so early into their match, and some compared the situation to Vince McMahon blowing both his quads when he entered the ring at the 2005 Royal Rumble. Shane should be okay, but he won't be wrestling anytime soon. And were you excited to see the alleged best in the world back at WrestleMania 39? When Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre stepped into the ring at WrestleMania 39, expectations were understandably high. Fans have not forgotten about how physical the Gunther-Sheamus Classic from Clash at the Castle was, and those wanting to see even more at WrestleMania were not disappointed. This was a match custom built for those who like watching guys absolutely beat the snot out of each other, and we wouldn't mind seeing similar triple threats at upcoming WrestleManias. While the match wasn't a technical classic of submissions and counterholds, that isn't what fans were wanting, and what they wanted is what they got. All three men are no doubt feeling incredibly sore right now, and while the fans weren't on their feet for the whole match as Michael Cole would have you believe, the crowd only got more excited as the match went on. The two spots the audience went absolutely wild for were Drew's dive to the outside and Gunther powerbombing Sheamus into Drew's head, a vicious blow that we can't ever recall seeing in WWE. Gunther retaining now puts him on track to become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, and to break the Honky Tonk Man's record, he'll need to reach Thursday, September 7th, 2023. While Sheamus winning would have been a nice moment and secured him as a Grand Slam winner, the level of intrigue now that Gunther has kept the title is much greater, and we're not sure what a title reign for Sheamus or McIntyre would have done in the long run. Speaking before WrestleMania 39, Gunther gave his prediction that he will headline WrestleMania 40, and a feud for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship looks more likely after performances like these. Do you think this match lived up to the hype set at Clash at the Castle? And who did you want to see leave LA as the Intercontinental Champion? And we're ending today with the main event of Night 2, and after months of waiting, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns finally squared off for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Even before the bell rung, the match was heavy with emotion, with Rhodes giving his weight belt to Brodie Lee Jr., aka AEW's -1, and in a class act, this was acknowledged by WWE. In the early moments of the match, Reigns was equally dominant and cocky, which is always a joy to see, and his confidence has become a central part of his character. Reigns was also capitalizing on the smallest of mistakes made by Cody in the match, which showed that when it came to strategy, Rhodes was the more emotional of the two, often to his detriment. Reigns, in his 7th main event at WrestleMania, kept cool, calm, and collected, and it is in this role as a master manipulator, complete with knowing how to bend the rules, which makes Reigns an effective heel. This dominance by Reigns was cut short by Rhodes, who was able to turn the tide, and the stadium exploded when Rhodes hit the Cody Cutter on the Tribal Chief. From there, the two traded the advantage, and whenever Roman thought that he had the challenger beat, Cody would make a comeback that would scrape away at the cockiness of the champion. Reigns has been a joy to see when he is confident, but it was in these moments of genuine fear that Roman excelled, as he was shaken at times by not being able to put away the American Nightmare. What wasn't played anywhere near as well was the ending of this particular match, as seemingly everyone was of the opinion that now was the time for Cody to finish his story. Sure, it may have been predictable, but predictable does not mean bad, as we saw with Daniel Bryan's emotional win in the WrestleMania main event 9 years ago. Instead of Rhodes fulfilling his promise to his father and having a Hollywood ending to his first year back with WWE, what we got instead was the usual bloodline shenanigans, with Solo Sikoa and the Usos running interference. Not only did this happen, but it happened at a pivotal time where it was time to evolve the bloodline story, but instead, the status quo remains, and Cody's return has led to not very much. Will Cody Rhodes become undisputed WWE Universal Champion? Probably, down the line, at a much smaller event, but this finish was a big misstep by WWE to put a damper on WrestleMania weekend. So why did Cody Rhodes choke in the biggest wrestling match of his career? Well, it may not have been entirely WWE's call. As we mentioned earlier, WWE is on the cusp of being sold to Endeavor in the biggest shift to the company in history, and are wanting to ensure that this sale goes through. It has been reported that some at Endeavor expressed to WWE that they were hoping to see Reigns retain, believing that the Tribal Chief, who is far more established in the mainstream than Cody, will be more marketable to the masses. It's impossible to say whether these names at Endeavor said this as a direct order for the result to be that Reigns retained, or if they simply expressed what they wanted to see, but either way, those people got their wish. Another big reason behind Reigns retaining is the prospect of the Tribal Chief reaching 1,000 days as champion, something that is now just 55 days away. Day 1,000 for Roman Reigns will be on May 27th, 2023, which just so happens to be the very same day as WWE King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. Given all the backstage changes, we wouldn't be surprised if WWE wanted to keep their Saudi partners sweet with ensuring that the title change will happen in their country, which allows for Reigns to hit quadruple digits. After WrestleMania 39 went off the air, Rhodes looked completely devastated in the ring and paced around the ring before taking the long, lonely walk backstage through the ramp. On the post-WrestleMania press conference, Triple H was asked about Cody's loss and said, "Maybe for a lot of people a shocking outcome. What I will say about that is, it's always interesting to me when people say, how can that happen, or how can they do that in that moment? It's almost perfectly spelling out in this story. I need to finish the story. In WWE, the story never finishes. Tomorrow night on Raw, the story continues. The story takes another chapter. We just got to the end of the chapter, the story continues, and that's where this gets interesting to me. That is what is the most amazing thing about our business, the story never ends." The decision for Reigns to retain has split fans, but what do you think of the shocking closing moments of WrestleMania 39? Let us know what you made to the biggest show of the year in the comments.